Hello, thanks for joining me today. I'm Jan Clothier of Thinking Stamping and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in New Zealand. And today I thought I'd share with you this little card that I made using the Cheerful Daisies bundle. It's the set that I'm currently playing around with, and I've come up with a few things and I really liked this one, so I thought that's what I'd share with you today. It's a lovely little bundle because you've got the days, it's photopolymer so you can see through it. It's two-step stamping, so you can use the outlines and colour them with the fill-in stamps or just colour them with whatever medium you like. Or you can use the dies, which are quite lovely. They give you all sorts of outlines, and we're going to play with some of those shortly. And a nice little range of sentiments, wishing you the brightest birthday, oops a daisy, you made my day, and your friendship means anything. Now, it's a nice little set. If you would like to buy this set, or indeed anything that you see that I use today and you live in New Zealand, you're more than welcome to shop with me. And there's a link to my online store in the video description below and through the media end card at the end of this video. Anyway, so we'll start off with, what do you need to make it with? Well, obviously the Cheerful Daisies bundle is a good start, but apart from that, you're going to need some paper. So I have started with a Pretty Peacock card base. This is one of the new colours, although if you've been in Stampin' Up for a little while, you'll know that it's actually a returning colour, and I was very sad to see it go, so I'm very happy to see it back. So, a Pretty Peacock card base, and as always for me, it's 21 centimetres that way, or the width of an A4 piece of paper, scored at 10.5 and cut at 14.8 that way. Now, if you're not a metrics person, but an imperial person, use whatever your standard card base is and then just adjust the measurements accordingly. So I've got that Pretty Peacock card base. I've got a piece of basic white that is, well, actually I've got two pieces of basic white. They are 1/2 centimetre smaller, so if you're an imperial person, that's roughly 1/4 inch. So it's 10 centimetres that way, 14.3 that way. One piece is for the inside, so we'll just pop it aside because we don't need that. The other piece is for the front base, and as you can see, I've already embossed that, and I've used this exposed brick 3D embossing folder, which is also a new one out of the 2023 to 24 catalogue. So we've got that. Now, I've got a strip of designer series paper, the Cheerful, I can't remember what the set's called. I think it's called something like Cheerful as a Daisy or something like that. But anyway, it's the coordinating paper that goes with this bundle. And you can see it, on one side it's got beautiful daisy patterns, the other sides are all much more sort of watercolour-y looking colours. And so this strip is 14.8, so it's the entire length of the card, and it's 3 centimetres wide. Now you can tell that I've picked the Pretty Peacock card base because those are the colours that are in the paper. So obviously if I'd chosen one of the other papers, I'd have used a different coloured card base. So strip of DSP, 3 centimetres by 14.8. You can see in here that there is a tag. So you need a piece of paper that's large enough for the tag, and I have used the tailor-made tags. I've chosen the largest one of this shape, but there's no reason why you couldn't have chosen the other shape as well. So the largest one of those, and I've also cut some of these little things, which are the hole reinforcers in Pretty Peacock. And here it is all put together. So there's the tag, there's the little reinforcer, and I've already tied the bow on. Now the bow is just from the Baker's Twine Essentials pack, so I've used the white. I cut two pieces that are 25 centimetres long, threaded them through the hole, tied them in a bow, so that's just ready for us to use later when we need it. Now you can see there's quite a lot of die cutting involved with the daisies. So you need a piece of paper, a piece of basic white. Now how big is that? It is 9 by 14.5, but basically enough white paper that you can put onto it these dies. So out of the Cheerful Daisies, this die, which is all of a piece, and then you can see that there are the dies which cut the outline, and they cut the outline of the stamps, but there is also this kind of jaggedy, infilly piece that gives you another level of layers. And so I don't know whether I can line that up perfectly, but you can see that that one, the little one, and then the little half daisy one. So you just need enough paper that's going to let you die cut those those shapes out. And as if by magic, here they are, ready for us to use. Okay. What else do we need? Well, we've got a sentiment. Now, you can choose any sentiment you like. I picked Wishing You the Brightest Birthday, and I did consider using Oops a Daisy, So Sorry, but in the end I chickened out. I've done another Wishing You the Brightest Birthday, and the label is also from the die set. That lovely little stitched label there is part of the Cheerful Daisies bundle, and it's already stamped, and I've stamped it in Pretty Peacock. If you're using a different colour DSP, then obviously just use whatever colour you've used for the base. And I've also got this foliage here, and that is another die cut out of this set. It's that little lacy looking die, and I have cut from a scrap of Pretty Peacock, whoops, 2 of them which have managed to tangle themselves up. Okay, and so that's all the bits that we need, and then after that there's just a little bit to do to put it all together. So it is one of those cards which gives you quite a lot of impact and for not all that much effort. So we'll start off by attaching the embossed piece to the card front. So, you know me, I like a little bit of glue, just a thread around the edge, not too close to the edge because we don't want it to ooze out, and a little bit in the middle. And then the glue will give us that wiggle room that we need, just to make sure that it's nice and straight. Which it is, and I'm just going to press firmly around the edges just so it gets a good stick. And I'm going to pop on my piece of DSP while I'm at it, because there's nothing that needs to go underneath it, so we can get it on now out of the way. Now I've come in, it looks like I've come in 2 centimetres. Yep. Actually, I haven't. I've come in 1.5. So, you know, there's no sort of magic number. I don't feel the urge to get out my ruler and, just, get it to the last millimetre. But you're coming in about 1.5 to 2 centimetres in from that side. And you can have a little play around too, because part of it's going to be like where you're going to put your tag and where you're going to put your sentiment, because, you don't want to get yourself in a situation where you haven't got enough room for the sentiment. So you want enough room that you're going to be able to see some of the DSP under the tag, and you want to have a bit of room, so something like that is what you're aiming at. Just have a little play around for it. And in fact, we could, in fact, seeing as how we've fuffed around with that now, we could actually stick that down now as well. So if you hadn't already prepared it as I have, it is generally easier to tie the bow on before you stick it down. It's possible to do it afterwards, but it's easier to do it beforehand. Okay, so we've got that stuck on there nicely. And now our base is all ready to go, and we've only got a little bit of work to do to get the rest going. So the first thing I'm going to do, so I'm going to take this lovely die cut, and I am going to cut it into pieces. So I'm going to just snip off the leaves. I'm going to keep them because they're such pretty leaves that even though I'm not using them in this project, they will almost certainly see life in another one. Now what we're going to do is we are going to give those a nice lemon centre. So I've got that new colour, Lemon Lolly. And we're just going to pop a little bit on and I've used one of the small blending brushes, but if a big blending brush works too. All you're doing is you're just going to put a bit of colour into the centre of each one. A little bit of colour. And it doesn't matter if it gets, away from the centre. I mean, I'd be a little bit bothered if I got it over the entire leaf, but, the centre is what you're aiming at. Okay. So we've got that done, and now we are just going to layer up these ones, and then they'll look nice and white, but they'll look like they've got a lovely coloured centre. So we'll use the silicone mat to keep the mess to a minimum. And we will just sponge on a little bit of glue. And then we will pick that up. And we will just layer that on there. That, and the glue will let us wiggle. Isn't that pretty? Now, while I've got the glue mat out, you can see that I've also put down that lovely foliage there, and it's going to go something like that. So while I've got the glue out and all my gear, we will just deal with that one at the same time. And pick it up. Oops, got a little bit carried away there because I've got a little bit more glue on it than I would have liked. But at least it dries clear. Okay, and then because really the reason I'm doing it this way is to try to avoid having oozy glue. It doesn't matter that they don't meet in the middle because we've got our flowers to lay down next. So we'll just pop that one out of the way. Now, what shall we do next? Okay, now is sort of the laying out part. So we're going to have our big daisy in the middle. We're going to have our sentiment somewhere around about there. And whoops, sentiment about there. And we're going to have another daisy up there. And we're going to have another daisy somehow down here. Okay, so we'll start with this one because it's the one that I'm going to glue flat. So we'll just pop a bit of glue. Now we don't need, you don't need a lot of glue. Glue is lovely, but it's your enemy when there's too much of it because it just oozes everywhere and makes a big mess. So always less glue than you think. Right, you can place that sort of centrally. The thing I'm going to pop in next, I think, is the sentiment. So I'm going to dimensional that on with some of these. I'm going to be restrained in my use because, oh yeah, I am going to need one there. I was just a little bit wary of having too many dimensionals at that end because you see that's already a little bit taller than the ground over off the tag, but it did look a little bit odd if I didn't have a dimensional over it. So we shall just pop it. I want a bit more of the center showing, so we'll come down a little bit. Now this one I'm going to have, I would like to ideally have them coming off of that, so I'm going to have to be very careful here. I'm going to have to get some mini dimensionals. That bit there is going to be glued, so I need a dimensional down here. In fact, even that is too big. I'm going to have to just shave them a little bit. Okay. Sometimes even minis need help. Okay. So we'll pop that one there. In fact, here I might just going to snip some of that side one, so I just get a nice little narrow piece. And I'm just going to pop him there, flick off the back, a little bit of glue there, oops, a little bit does not mean none, okay. And then we shall pop him there. And this one here I'm going to pop on dimensionals as well. It's a little bit tricky, especially me, the lover of dimensionals, because I don't want them to show. So I'm going to see if I can get away with 3. Now for me, that feels very underdimensional, but I'm sure that for many people though, they'll think that's fine. Okay, so we'll pop that one there. And now we are almost done. The last thing I'm going to do is add in some of these embellishments. These are called Adhesive Solid Gems, which is a very prosaic name for a very pretty product. Now you can see that on my original sample I've used the lemon lolly coloured ones, but for this one, just to be a bit different, seeing as how there's copper clay in the paper, I'm going to be rogue and I'm going to use the copper clay ones instead and see how that looks. How are we going to place them? I think we'll have one there. Maybe we will go for a smaller one, maybe just there, and perhaps the very smallest one can come down there like that. So that's the nice thing. Apart from the beautiful colours, I really love the variations in size because I love to be able to vary the sizes of my embellishments. Righto, so there you can see my little tag-tied Cheerful Daisies birthday card. The only other thing is, what did I do on the inside? Well, I'm not going to make it now, but I'll just show you what I did with this one. This one, I just took that little stamp there and I just repeat stamped it in lemon lolly. But you could do anything. You could stamp yourself more daisies. You could take another strip of the DSP. You know, I always say to my class people, you can experiment with what you do on the inside. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed that card, making that card along with me, and I hope you'll give it a go. Don't forget, if you've seen anything that you'd like to add to your craft room stash, you're more than welcome to shop with me if you live in New Zealand, and there is a link to my online store in the video description below and at the end card, which is about to pop up. As always, I'm always happy to answer questions, and so you can reach me through my Jan Clothier Independent Stampin' Up Demonstrator Facebook page or through my blog, Thinking Stamping. Anyway, the contact details are also in the video description below. If you've liked what you've seen and you haven't already subscribed, please do so you don't miss anything new that I do. And above all else, everyone, happy stamping.